This is the moment designers cherish, the moment designers love. It's the moment we bring our clients into the finished product to show them how all of the elements have come together to create the home of their dreams. This is the reveal. I'm so excited to welcome you in and let you be a part of it. I'm Andrea Hutchman from Poppy Interiors in Los Angeles. This is my client's home. It's in the Hollywood area of Los Angeles. They're newlyweds and they wanted to mesh their styles and create a home that reflected both of them. So let's begin. This house was built in the early 30s in the Spanish Revival style. So we decided that everything that was attached to the house, like the tile or the light fixtures, should look as though it could be original, which was why we went for a Spanish style chandelier. It's kind of pared down and simple. You know, they didn't want anything too ornate. The next thing we did was find the rug, because we were trying to choose a color palette. So we started with this rug, which has a lot of golds and sort of medium blue, which is how we started, and then we just built the furnishings around it. One thing that we were working toward with this house was sort of unexpected traditional touches. This sofa is a very traditional shape. It's a Chesterfield, essentially, with the tufting and everything, but it's in an unusual color. You don't normally see them in sort of a medium blue color. And we thought it feels fun, but also traditional at the same time. And it picks up the colors in the rug. The clients absolutely love this light blue color, and you'll see it throughout the house, in the kitchen and in one of the bathrooms as well. They just really like this sort of the cool feeling of it. And then we put in these drapes to tie it all together, which are, they're embroidered, and they're really, I think, lovely. The sort of shininess is, I think, emblematic of sort of an Art Deco era. They wanted it to look sort of chic, old Hollywood. So we were going for things that were sort of traditional Spanish, but also with a little bit of sort of 1930s glamour. The clients wanted to have a coffee table that was also something where you could easily put your feet up. So we got a leather ottoman, which is a great big size, and you can put a tray on it and have cocktails or snacks or whatever, or you can just remove all that and use it for additional seating. Clients are very big old Hollywood buffs, and we've got a lot of things in the house that are art that represents old Hollywood, and also these theater seats come from an old movie house that was torn down, and the clients had acquired those. So we wanted to make sure that they had a place to live in the house as well. We also redid the tile around the fireplace. And so we had these tiles done custom and redid the hearth so that everything looked sort of ship-shape. One interesting thing about these windows is you can see they're not evenly sized. This is a double and this is a single. So these drapes are designed to do that. So it looks like the windows are the same size. These clients are very fun-loving, and so we were trying to incorporate some unexpected things in the room, like this table that's got a peacock for a base with his little feathers coming through. I think it looks very 1930s glamorous, but it's very fun, and it provides a lot of, it's shiny. It's something that looks kind of glitzy when you first walk in this room. The clients do have a very extensive art collection, and it's funny because during construction it was all in storage, and once we were done it was all unpacked, and I was very excited to see what they had. They've got really big graphic pieces. This was a good space for them. This room, I think, could feel very cavernous. And we've tried our best to warm it up and have some soft surfaces so that it doesn't feel echoey and sort of vacant. We wanted it to feel very cozy. This is the dining room, and we wanted to carry through the theme of Hollywood glamour. This room it's between the living room and the kitchen, and everyone who enters the house will walk past this, and it's a really dramatic part of the house. There are lots of pieces of art, including Charlie Chaplin. The client is a really big fan of Charlie Chaplin. We've got a director's chair because the clients are in the entertainment industry as well. This table looks very sort of 1930s with the star pattern in the wood marquetry, and it looks very sort of shiny and glam. And then one of the most interesting things about this room is the skylight. The client is very fond of his tall cactus. It's a giant 3-story tall cactus that you can see out the door, and if you look up through the skylight you can see it sitting at the head of the table. And he wanted to be able to have his dinner and see his cactus. This mural is a copy of a mural that is in Hollywood. People drive by it all the time. It's sort of a well-known piece here in LA. And the client had it repainted custom. The piece is a bunch of very well-known Hollywood icons in a movie theater. So you've got Marilyn Monroe and Charlie Chaplin again with Shirley Temple, and I guess Clark Gable and James Dean, and the client had himself painted in as the usher. There's E.T. making a phone call in the back. I really love this painting, and I think it adds a lot to the room. One of the most special things about this painting is that it's concealing a special hidden door that goes into the client's office, so that they can be working in there and still see the cactus, by the way, or it can be concealed and you would never know it's there. A big part of the renovation of this house was we replaced every door and every window. And this house is in a historic preservation zone, so the street-facing windows were the original windows, and we needed to copy those exactly as they were. And then we did the windows in the rest of the house in the same style. Over the years, certain windows had been replaced with other kinds of windows that were more modern, and we had to take all those out and make them all look as though they were original. These blue chairs tie in with the blue sofa and the drapes in the living room, and also the cabinets in the kitchen. So the house has a really nice flow now. We had added a second story and really changed the pattern of the traffic flow in the house, and it's really natural now to come in the front door, through the living room, all the way through the dining room into the back, and it opens out into the backyard. And it's perfect for entertaining because there's a really natural flow, and you won't get people sort of stuck in corners or anything, and they can just sort of circulate around the whole place. The kitchen in this house, I think, is the place where we made the most, the most amount of changes. This had been a very small tiny little like 1930s kitchen, and they really wanted an entertaining kitchen with a big area where people could gather and also easy access to the backyard. So we blew out this back wall, extended the house back, and we have a wall of glass here that can be retracted so that if they're having a party, they can just push the whole thing back and everybody can come and go in and out as they please. The countertops are quartzite, which is natural stone. We did it honed. It's Cristallo quartzite. And I think it looks really dramatic with the deep blue cabinets, which in the evening look almost black. It's navy blue just on the edge of black. We used brass hardware for that sort of glamorous, glowy, shiny feeling, but it's also unlacquered brass, so it will age as they use it, and as they, their hands touch it, it will start to get a little not quite so shiny and look as though it's old, just like the house is, because we wanted everything to feel like it was part of the house and like it wasn't a big jarring change to the new kitchen. The range we did custom in a white color with brass handles and brass trim to sort of go with the whole theme. The tiles were done custom. We tried a bunch of different colors, but finally settled on this light blue and a charcoal color in a star pattern, sort of a nod toward traditional Spanish tiles. Refrigerator was done panel ready so that it blends in. This is the refrigerator right here. So that it blends in and looks like one of the cabinets. I'm a big fan of drawers in a kitchen. I think they're really useful for storage and much more convenient than cabinets here. That's one of the main things they gained with expanding the kitchen, is we've just got a place for everything. And we've got a long counter over here. It's a bit more shallow than the standard counter, but it's meant to be a buffet space if they're having a big dinner party. We've got these wide, shallow drawers that are for linens and silver. And then there are cabinets with a brass mesh over there that are for things like martini glasses or serving pieces, or things that are less frequently used than your everyday dishes. And so when they entertain, they can use this as a serving area. The island over here has lots of deep drawers for utensils. We did a lot of built-ins. They're deep drawers for pots and pans, which I think is a much easier way to store them, because you don't have to sort of bend down and reach to the back of a cabinet. You can just pull it out and see where they are. These lights over the island pick up the theme of the brass that we were using for the hardware and also for the trim here. It's really warm and reflective, and I think looks very glamorous in sort of a 1930s way. The lighting in this room is really layered. We've got recessed cans, we've got sconces, we've got these pendant lights, and then there's lights over the sink and over the countertop, so that they can, and they're all switched separately, so that you can layer the lighting, have it darker or lighter, or make it sort of dramatic if you're entertaining and you don't want it to feel as kitcheny, you want it to feel a little bit more warm. So I like to always have there be a lot of flexibility in the lighting plan so that it can be used for different purposes. If you want to have a party, or if you need a lot of light because you're doing a project on the island. The tile over here by the sink is made by the same company as that, but we just did plain white, so that this could really be the star by the stove. And over here was just a little more subtle, but there's still a crackle glaze, and They're very substantial feeling tiles. They're all handmade. We built this custom arch over the range. It conceals a vent, and there's a vent hood and lights up there. But we did this sort of special shape so that it looked, it matched other arches in the house. But also there's space for little shallow shelves back here so that when they're cooking, they can just reach for their olive oil or their salt and pepper, and it's just really handy to have it there. One of the most special features of this kitchen is this little sitting area. It's off the main kitchen area, and the client wanted a place where she could sit in the morning and read and drink her coffee, and it's surrounded by windows, so it gets a ton of natural light, and there's greenery and blue skies, and it's just a really nice place to wake up. This space is the butler's pantry. It's just off the kitchen. And where everything in the kitchen is light and bright, in here we wanted to go for a more dark and moody feel. So we used dark black granite countertops, but we also wanted reflective surfaces. So it's very shiny. We did the glossy finish. We also did this glass tile, gold glass tile, so it feels very, very glamorous and old Hollywood. And one of my favorite things in this room is this little hat pendant light, which is an homage to old Hollywood and Charlie Chaplin. We did little glass crystal knobs on the cabinets with also brass trim. And these cabinets have vented fronts to look just a little special. It's the same mesh that we used on the buffet. That's the more entertaining area of the kitchen, and this is meant to be the entertaining area in the bar. This is one of the guest bathrooms, and for all of the bathrooms we decided to go with a very traditional 1930s subway tile on the wall, but each bathroom has a different color trim. And in this one we did this sort of dusty blue color, and then up above, once we did all the traditional tile work, up above we did a fun wallpaper that really pops, I think. I love the rich colors in this bathroom. I think it's really beautiful. I love this wallpaper in here. It's meant to look like a picture gallery, but they look like bird and botanical prints, and I just think it's really vibrant, and I love the red background. All the bathrooms in this house have different wallpaper. We decided to do that, as a theme throughout the house. Also, each bathroom has these 1-inch hex tile floors, but in each bathroom the pattern is different. So we popped out some of the white ones and put in a contrasting color in a different pattern, just for, a little bit of fun. The finish is primarily nickel, the nickel faucets and the frame and the light fixture. In the primary bathroom we use brass, but in the 2 guest bathrooms we thought it would be more fun to use polished nickel. Moving on, here's the next bathroom. In this bathroom, we repeated the theme of the wainscot tile coming all the way up here, but we've used a lighter color blue in here, much more pale watery color, because we were trying to pick up the tone of this wallpaper, which has a Los Angeles theme, and it's really fun. We were really excited to use it. The cabinetry in here is a much paler color, and one of the interesting features is that there's lighting underneath the cabinet, so that at night you can use it almost as a night light, just leave it glowing, and it's a very soft light in here. The floor is also the 1-inch hex, and in here we've done a border pattern as opposed to the snowflakes, And we also repeated that in the shower stall. This wallpaper is Los Angeles themed, which I thought really worked well with the Hollywood theme of this house. For instance, here's the Santa Monica Pier with the Ferris wheel, there are palm trees, the Hollywood sign, the Beverly Hills sign, there's lounge chairs, the Chinese theater. So it really is sort of a subtle nod to the old Hollywood feel of the house. Bathroom is part of a guest suite, and over here is the attached bedroom. This is a very small room, so we wanted to do something that would make it feel a little bit glamorous, a little bit dramatic. So we installed these custom drapes. With this beautiful embroidery fabric just on the inside edges, so that when it's closed, it looks like a big stripe going down, but when it's opened, it just looks like the border. They're also lined with blackout fabric because it's quite bright out here in the morning and the guests might want to sleep in. And then they've got a door directly out to the patio where the fire pit is. Now, I'd like to go upstairs and show you the primary suite. Welcome to the primary suite. This primary suite is part of the new second story, and I think one of the best things about it is it's got this beautiful balcony and these brand new French doors so that they can open up and you can see the Hollywood Hills in the distance. This is the primary bathroom, and we wanted to make it very, very glamorous and old Hollywood. It's similar to the other bathrooms in that it's got the subway tile up the wall with a contrasting trim and the hex tile floor, but in this case we used black grout to make it really pop, and we used black granite like in the Butler's pantry downstairs for the countertop because it's really shiny and reflective. We also used lacquer on the cabinets. We wanted a lot of shiny reflective surfaces up here. The finishes on the fixtures, on the plumbing fixtures, are unlacquered brass, which will age gradually and look as though it's always been here. We did some dramatic lighting over the bathtub. We've got a chandelier that at night looks beautiful like a big star. And of course, the window over the tub looks out on the cactus, which is visible all the way from up here. We wanted to do something really special with the hardware in here, so we did little back plates on the cabinet knobs that look like stars in keeping with the Hollywood theme. It's really fun and it's bright and it's brass and it's really, I think, a special touch. Also, in the toilet cubicle, we've used a very recognizable wallpaper that looks like palm leaves, and it's really bright and vibrant. So you go from the black and white and brass, and when you turn around you see this bright splash of green, and it's really kind of an exciting moment. In the shower, on the floor, we use the reverse of the floor out here, so the tiles are black hex tiles instead of white hex tiles for just something a little different. Also, the plumbing fixtures are unlacquered brass, and they're developing a patina over time, so they look old and like they've been here for a while. Also, there's a nice window in the shower, so there's plenty of natural light. This wallpaper in the toilet cubicle is called Brazilians, and it's one of my favorite designs. I think it's so fun and exuberant. And these clients are very special people because they somehow found toilet paper that matches this wallpaper. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you like the house as much as I do.